This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming to Wahoo Willie's today for Sunday Brunch with the Mayor. We have a very special guest that we're going to chat with for the first half hour of the show. You turn your microphone on. We have a nice crowd. It's nice to see everybody starting to come back down.
Wants to hear you.
Is it too loud?
It's too loud.
Too loud, Joy? Is it too loud,
these
Joy?
People don't want to hear.
Sharon, is it okay?
It's super curly, right?
Yes.
It's so curly.
Yeah, what is up with your hairdo today?
I just decided to let it go au naturel.
Yeah, I see.
So.
It's so sexy. Makes me want to give you a hug. See, I want to thank Dawn for bringing this. You can't really read it on the camera.
Unwanted contact. That's what that's called.
But I've already spanked her in the behind with it. So I love it. I love this nice little gift. Today was like, I know, she warned me to be on my best behavior, Ray, because she's worried that I'm going to embarrass myself in front of you. So I'm going to try and be on my
dignitary here. Sorry,
Yes.
Dan. We don't worry about you.
Dear, move over. So today was like Christmas for us because
yes. Oh, yeah. I got to get my stuff too.
Yeah, we want to. Now you're ruining it. So come on, get your stuff. So we got. Thank you, Dawn, for this nice. What is this thing? It's a wooden spoon. It's a spatula. So come on over. Come on over. Yeah, yeah. What the hell are you drinking, by the way? What is that thing?
That's a shrimp cocktail.
Shrimp cocktail. Wow.
My drinks are coming.
Yeah. All right. Sit here until she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. She's so disorganized. Now, when you first walked up, your wife is that your wife, by the way?
Yes, 26 years.
26 years. Very nice. We're going to be 30 years on Tuesday, I think it is. So nice and close.
Yep.
Yeah. So when he first walked in, do you guys see the shirt? I thought the shirt said Trump Vance or something like that. It certainly wouldn't say Biden Harris in this part of town, but
no.
Yeah. So that is amazing. Now, why are you wearing an Allers Ryan shirt? Would you even get that made up?
I've been watching you guys for 2 years. Dan kind of resonates. He's from Wisconsin. I'm transplant from Wisconsin. He's kind of reminds me of my brother a little bit too.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird because my wife and I we do have a social life, but like on Saturday night and Sunday nights, we'll watch the recordings. Like, we sit down with our popcorn and our drinks. We're like, let's watch the show.
You really need to get a life, man.
I know.
I mean, come on.
And I know more about Fort Myers Beach. This is about our 25th trip here since 2011.
Cool.
But I know more about the city of Fort Myers Beach than I do about my own city. But I've learned I'm a history teacher by trade in 29 years. And so I've learned about
Thank you for your service in that.
Woo-woo,
'Cause
middle
it said
school.
Middle school.
Yeah. And so I've really learned how the workings of the city, because our city doesn't work very well.
Now, what city are you from?
We're in Red Oak, Texas. It's 20 miles south of Dallas.
Okay.
So,
and what made you come to Fort Myers Beach?
Our friends, Rob and Julie Minioff, they had a condo on the north end, and they invited us, and we came down and we fell in love. We became beach snobs, and we don't like to go anywhere else.
I see.
And so we
Happens to a lot of people that way.
We were staying with them, and then we were branching out our own and staying at Lighthouse. We got the flash deal for
Margaritaville
that you had.
Yeah.
We were like, we're going. So that's
cool.
it.
Well, I noticed it just says Ryan. It doesn't say.
I didn't make that designation.
All right,
or
good
the
call
K.
on that. Very nice. Now, what should we run for?
Oh, this is a presidential.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Can you imagine? So the other thing, not only did you wear that shirt, you brought gifts. Like what? You went out and made these nice.
Yeah.
Like
that I've tried to get you to to add.
Don't even bring up the
I have
merchandise
the-
crap.
yes.
Every weekend I ask you
Yes,
what new
we've
stuff we
talked
should
about the
buy.
three-quarter-
And
we talked about
all you
this a
do is
long
yell at
time
me about
ago.
all the crap in the garage that we can't get rid
Well,
of.
that's because you ordered those towels.
So we're driving
which
in the
are
car.
hideous.
I feel like I'm at home in my garage.
So we're
right
driving. We're driving home, and she's on her phone because she doesn't want to talk to me when we're in the car together.
Gosh.
Like we're rarely together. So she's looking on her
We're
phone.
together so much.
And she sees these yellow sunglasses, and
Oh,
she
yeah.
says to me, "You need to order these yellow sunglasses." So what did I do? I went home and I ordered 150 pair of yellow sunglasses. And so I told her last night that I ordered the yellow sunglasses. And what did she say to me? "Oh, why do you keep wasting money?" I'm
But
like,
you
"You
didn't
told
let
me to
me-
order the sunglasses.
I
That's
know, but
why."
Did you put the brand on it?
Of
Did
course.
you?
What do you think? I'm dumb?
Well,
I put the brand on everything. It's on the
enough
baby
said
truck.
About that. I
I got to
mean,
get off my cord, man.
I'm sorry.
Jesus Christmas.
now.
So tell us about the shirts. What's with the shirts? So nice.
So Dan, probably it's about a year ago. He doesn't wear your stuff here,
He
and
never
he's
wears
like,
my stuff.
he goes,
Adderholt wears
he
my
goes,
stuff
if-
all the time.
If you would make a quarter zip, and I'm a quarter zip guy,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm gonna make sure the next time I come down here, he's got a quarter zip.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Oh, I see. That's why you
that's
got
what
it for him.
And I couldn't give him one
he's
without
he's
giving you.
never going to wear anything with my name on it. Yeah. Karen
this one's
Woodson will
nice.
wear it before he does.
So
So thank you for that. That
That's
was very nice of you. We're going to wear those next weekend on the show. So
let me know if you need different sizes too.
no, they're
No,
fine.
they're
Thank you very
fine.
much. All right. So get back to would you say Texas, right? Texas. So
Texas,
how long you
yeah.
guys here for?
Till Wednesday.
Wednesday. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for all the gifts. Thank you to
Thank
everyone
you.
for all the gifts today. And we appreciate that. And thank you all for coming. All right. So, dear, what are you doing? Sit down, please. We have to do this the appropriate way. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for the first half hour of the show, the mayor is going to join us and Ray Sandelli. Can we get a big hand for Ray? Monday is Ray's last day. Come on down, Dan. You got to sit in chair number 3, and Ray's going to sit in chair number 4. Tomorrow is Ray's last day as the Lee County Commissioner on the board. He has been representing Fort Myers Beach for the last 5 years after being appointed by who should have been the next president, Governor Ron DeSantis. So we're going to need to move over a little bit. And Donia, can you help us out here? Just move the camera all the way back a little bit so we can get everybody in.
Make sure we both.
We want to
fit
make
here,
sure.
Ray. I don't
Let's
know.
do an interview without Ray on the camera. Just turn it toward Ray a little bit, and we're good. There we go. Perfect.
perfect.
All right. And
Thank
so
you.
Ray was appointed by Governor DeSantis 5 years ago. Now, if you're new to the show and you only have really joined us in the last 2 years, you should go back to our Facebook page and search Todd Truex, because Todd Truex ran against Ray. He was a Democrat.
Was
He is
that? Wow.
4 years ago, he ran against
Wow.
Ray Sandelli. We had him on as kind of like a joke, because I don't mean this in a negative way, but there's no chance a Democrat ever wins an elected office in Lee County. It's just one of those things. And so we did an interview with Todd Truex at Pete's Timeout, and it was started out as fun, and then it turned not fun for him, because he had a Biden flag behind. Like, he brought a Biden flag and put it behind us, and
It was big. It was big.
It was a big Biden flag. We were
It was
letting him have his.
second time. It was his second time
Yeah.
on the show, and the first time on the show,
He wasn't
you
crazy.
were trying to be funny, and I think he didn't take it that way. So the second time he came on the show, he was locked and loaded for an argument, and you.
I didn't want to argue with him, because I knew he had no
but you
chance
didn't
of
get
winning.
it at first, because things easily go over your head. But
So-
once you realized what was really going on,
Yeah, so he was
then
being a
you
real
got-
ass.
I had to leave the show.
Did
I got
anybody
up
ever
and
see
left.
that? Did anybody ever see that interview? I mean, it's one of our best off the cuff interviews. And Ray called me afterward. We were sitting at the Ale House watching football, because that's what we used to do on Sunday. And Ray called and he said, "Hey, what happened with Todd Truex?" I said, "Well, I said, Todd, you have no chance of winning, and you can take that Biden flag and shove it right up your ass." And I said that right on the show. And then he got out with the flag. He took the flag. And nothing against Biden. I mean, he's fine. And he started walking up and down Times Square with all the businesses still there with his flag. Can you imagine doing that on this beach, a Biden flag? And you don't see very many of them. Nothing against Biden, and he's fine. But that was a classic. And then Ray won by you had 92% of the vote or something. It was crazy. So
He's not one to.
yeah, it worked
It
out.
worked out.
Yeah. Now, Ray, how are
Yes.
you, man?
I'm good. Good.
We appreciate you
You
coming.
look good. You
Yeah.
look good.
So
you.
You
for
look
anyone,
relaxed and ready to.
tell everybody your history with the Blue Angels.
I was fortunate enough, I think ever since I can remember, the only thing I ever wanted to do growing up was to fly for the Navy. And so 2 weeks after I graduated from college, I was in Pensacola, went through flight training, made a couple deployments, came back, applied to the team, didn't get selected the first time, got selected the next year, and I was fortunate enough to be on the team 77 and 78. And actually just got back from Pensacola 2 weeks ago. They had the end of the season party. And the Thunderbirds were in town, so we had both teams in the city, which was great. So I was blessed, But it's interesting. Somebody said, "How do you feel about now leaving the county?" I said, "They already took my name off the door." But I said, after your last air show,
Wow.
the engines they start putting the new guy's name on. They take your parking space away. I said, "I've been through this stuff before." But I was very thankful and honored to serve.
And I know, Dan, you wanted to be part of this interview, and you asked to be here. And Ray's done so much for Fort Myers Beach. I'm not going to put words in your mouth. So,
yeah, it was. Remember when the first time I met Ray? Everybody was watching after Commissioner Kiker passed away. Who's going to be the next person that's going to fill the seat? Because obviously it has a big impact on the beach. So we were all paying attention. I was running for council at the time. It was 2019. So Ray went around to after he was selected by the governor, he went around to every municipality and went in and just kind of introduced himself, told a little bit about the history, because everybody's like, who's this Ray Sandelli guy? He wasn't in the public eye, right? So nobody really knew who he was. So he came in and he sat down at the dais, and I was sitting in Anita was the mayor at the time, and I believe it was Anita. Yeah, Anita was the mayor at the time, and so she had arranged all this, and in walks Ray, and he's dressed like Ray always dresses, for business. And I had a sport coat on, and I was, dressed in business casual, I guess you'd say. And everybody else is kind of in flip flops and Ray's, everybody's, "How you doing, Ray? Nice to meet you. My name's blah, blah, blah." And you could just see on Ray's face, he was kind of like, "Who are all these people? Okay, that's great." So anyway, I, introduced myself, and Anita's like, "This is Dan. He's running for council." And Ray puts his arm around me like this. He goes, "You see, when you want a job, this is how you do it. You dress for the job you want." And that was the first thing he ever said to me. I'm like, "Yeah, he and I are going to be friends." And we just become friends over the last 5 years.
Well, I remember the first time you came on the show, and
Yes.
you were just enamored with the beach, and you love coming down here, and you would wear, we got you out of the suit pretty quick. Yep. So now the beach attire,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you wear it well.
So I come down. They were kind enough to understand that I had no political aspirations. We had a little beach house up north, and like the phone rings, and this lady says, "Governor DeSantis would like to speak with you." And I'm going,
Am I being punked?
yeah, I did. I thought these are my friends punked me because I'm on vacation. So he gets on the phone, we talk, and he says, "I'd like you to do this." And do what? Be a county commissioner. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what that is. So we talk, and I said, "Well, I'll think about it." He said, "I need to know tomorrow." Okay, so I go back to the beach. I go, "I either just got punked by my friends, or the governor just asked me to do this." To which my wife says, "If you want to go back and do this, I'm staying here with the dog and the kids. Have a good time."
yeah.
So this is a Thursday. Tuesday, I'm in the seat. I didn't even know where the building was. Okay. So I get there, and all these people are going, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Yeah.
Stuff like this. And so I had no idea what's going on that first meeting. So the meeting's going on, and I keep nodding and stuff like this. And, I caught on fairly quick, but I worked hard, and I will tell you that whatever I was able to contribute to the county has come back to me tenfold.
Yeah.
I've been inspired by this community in particular, by the people I've worked with. I've always loved the work. And, but I'm 76 now, and, want to get to a point where you can't scream at the Eagles anymore. I can just about hoot at the Owls.
So when Governor DeSantis's secretary calls me, I have to say, "Please, dear, take a message." I can only talk to the governor so many times. He keeps.
But he's ex-Navy. I had to take
Yeah,
a call.
I see.
Yeah.
So when you first came down to Fort Myers Beach after Hurricane Ian and went to Times Square and saw what you saw with Dan, what did you think?
Well, I flew over the beach with the sheriff the day before, and like everybody else, you just couldn't process what had happened, And I think it was the day after that I met Dan down there, and I still have a picture. Dan and I at what was Times Square, and we're standing next to what was the clock. The only thing left was the clock. And I remember Dan and I still have the picture on my phone. Dan turned to me and he says, I don't even know where we are anymore. And I'm thinking, this guy, if he doesn't know where he's at, I'm really lost. But I will tell you, I think I started almost every day with a call to Dan. And we would just talk, and it wasn't that you're just trying to get your feet underneath you. And so it's what I take away from all this is the friendships here. Dan is my big brother. And, I have a big offensive line to run back of, so it's been great. And Meg is the better part of the family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, he, the storm obviously brought it. We were, close before the storm. We talked quite a bit. And, I've always been one that is, when you go into a room with someone, especially someone that has a lot of knowledge and a lot of life history, you try to listen, right? You try to take in as much as you can. And you learn a lot from people like Ray, because he's always listening. He doesn't say a lot. And he's very soft spoken, but he's always listening and he's always taking notes, and he always follows up. Always. You'll always get a call back from him saying, this is what we talked about. Here's what we thought. But he doesn't drag it on. It's not like, well, your shirt looks nice and your shoes match your shirt. And your hat looks good too. And it's, here's what I found out. You need me to get anything else? Nope. Okay. We'll talk tomorrow. It was move on. So you pick up things and I've learned as much from Ray that Ray says we've learned from each other, but I've learned so much from Ray over the last 4 years, 5 years that, will be lifelong messages. So.
Yeah. And one of the things after Hurricane Milton, when I was riding my bike up and down to see what the damage was after Milton, who's the first car that comes up from behind me? It was Ray on his way to the Pancake House to spend money at the Pancake House. And I know you also, along with Dan and other people, tried to help those guys get open. They were running through some issues with some other organizations, and you helped them, and you went over there and spent some money with them. And that people like that kind of service from their representative when they see them out in the area in which they're representing, like you always were.
Well, we often talk about small business as really the heartbeat of the community. And you take Brian and Stacy, and they're just wonderful people.
Yes.
And, they bought that place, and it got wiped out, and then they have to build it back. And, anytime you address anything, it's a process. Process takes time, and time is what frustrates everybody. And so I felt some empathy. So whatever role I could help, whether it was just a word of encouragement or whether it was trying to get some of the utilities and stuff to help out, I was more than happy to do that. And again, I will say that what I have taken out of this is the resiliency of this community, the ability to get up, dust the sand off, go back to work. And it's been an honor.
What advice do you have for David in terms of how to continue that with the people on the beach? David Malaka will be sworn in on Tuesday as the victorious representative to represent the folks on the beach in that district.
Well, a couple of things. Dave, we've talked a few times. Once the election was over, I knew he was going to replace me. We had a meeting with Charlotte Cody, my assistant, who's absolutely phenomenal. I think what's important is, as you said, Ed, is that people need to see you. I went out and did everything I could. I've been out to waste energy. I drove the little thing up there where they're burying garbage and stuff. I went out to see a mining blast. I wanted to see it for myself. I wanted to be able to tell people, yeah, I've seen that, and here's what I saw. Could have been through the right eyes. It could have been something else. So get out, because this is what makes it work. I said to Ed before we started, how has your, has your thing started? What you have created, you and Pam, you became the voice of the island, and people needed that, when we were in the midst of all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you too.
Thank you, Pam.
What'd you say?
No, so Ray, can we get over the niceties now? Can I ask you some tough questions?
No, I just want to ask. I just want to ask one question.
Okay,
Let me
go
just wedge it in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean,
We are wedged in here.
yeah, right.
You
Let
need
me
the
here.
spatula?
Where is the spatula? That's the talking
He's
stick
keeping it out of
now.
reach for me.
Yeah, that's the talking
It's the
stick
attitude
now.
adjustment.
I know that the storms really were took up a lot of the time, and were a lot of the focus and the recovery during your time on the county commission. What other things come to mind over the time that you've served that you look fondly upon or positively back on that occurred?
Well, I think it's easy when things go well. I think when things don't go well, it becomes a challenge. And I've always found that in times of challenge is when you find out about yourself, when you find out about the people you work with, you find out about the community. So again, what I take away is that it's taught me more than I could possibly have given and stuff like that. So I walked into a pandemic, soon after I was elected and stuff. And that was a whole different exercise. And I used to ride my bike every day, and I had neighbors yelling at me that I was killing them because I couldn't get them shots. And it was much, much more to that. So I think you have to look to yourself, what you've learned, and then you look to your friends and what they can add. So, but I think the challenges. I'm glad that I had the challenges. Unfortunately, it challenged all of us, but that was the best part of the job.
So the one thing I want to ask you about, now that you're free to say whatever you want, not that you didn't say what you wanted to while you're on the county commission,
But now you're really
now you can let it rip.
unencumbered.
Well, I got one more day. I don't want to bury myself in the
Oh,
last
come
day.
on. What's going to happen to you? You're not even going in tomorrow. So come on. So the single member district is a big deal, and it's going to hopefully be on the ballot so the voters can decide. And I like the county board. I think the county board is who we have now. There's been past county boards that led to corruption and things like that. I think people even went to jail back in the day. But so we have a great county board now, but you get term limited out at a certain point. Like Cecil's our representative, and he does great for us in Gateway, but he can't be there forever. I think single member district gets approved, and then, maybe somebody like Dan or somebody on the town council can run and really represent Fort Myers Beach. Are you in favor of a single member district?
I'm not.
Why?
Well, when I first came into office, in my office that had District 3, that was my only district, but we were running countywide.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is I had to make a map. When I sat in my chair every day, I wanted to see all of Lee County. And the reason I wanted to see all of Lee County is because everything we do is connected. I ran the state of Florida for a large commercial real estate company, and every profit center was into themselves. That's how they got compensated. I took over and I said, we're all in the same profit pool, and we're all going to share equally. And that made a difference because we were all in it together. We were trading assets, we were trading responsibilities. So it wasn't very closed, it was very open.
Mm-hmm.
And within 3 years, we were competing with the top markets in the country. I don't want to see people say, well, this is my district, I just got to fight my district. I think we have to think not only of all of Lee County, we need to think about Southwest Florida as a whole.
Do you think it'll pass if it goes on the ballot?
People will decide.
But I mean, if you're a betting man, would you bet for it or against it?
I'm not for it, and I'll vote accordingly.
Yeah. So do you feel like the people in Buckingham and Lehigh are getting? I mean, one of the things that Amanda Cochran said on our show was that what's his name, Mike Greenwell, was missing a bunch of meetings, and I didn't notice it until the last two he didn't show up to. Well, I mean, why? Where was he?
Well, I can't account for Mike's time and stuff like this, but I think if you look at Mike, he has a business itself, and he's splitting his time between that.
Well, maybe he shouldn't have run then.
He's a very capable guy.
Okay.
And I like people. One of the things I looked at when I was looking at my replacement, I wanted somebody that had a business. There's a certain urgency when you have a business to move things along.
Mm-hmm.
Government can be very slow at times. So I wanted somebody that had.
At times?
Huh?
You're laughing, Dan.
Ray,
Anything to add to
Ray,
that?
It's going to take you guys to build. It's going to take you guys 6 years to build a pier.
No.
No, it's not. That's
Right?
not. No.
It's not going to be 6 years. You're an exaggerator.
Okay,
if you
5
had half
years.
the information that
4.
you think you don't understand is that.
It's already been two.
Look, the pier is very important to all of us, but in the scheme of other things that had to happen and stuff, it wasn't
True.
the primary cause. And
Yeah.
then everybody wanted it longer. They wanted it wider and stuff. But then you get into different permitting things. You
Sure.
get into FEMA.
Yeah.
And it's laborious.
It is going to take 5 years, though.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And they rebuilt Sandelli's bridge in 3 days. So I mean, all of that makes total sense to me. You can rebuild a bridge in 3 days, but not a pier in 5 years.
Well,
but
but-
I know, I understand.
Yeah.
Government is terrible.
Are you sure?
I am. I know. I mean, I got to give you credit. You wanted to be part of government. Did you feel
No, I
like?
got drafted. Remember that?
Yeah.
I was enjoying myself on the beach.
So,
No, thank you.
Dan, anything you want to throw in there about single member district?
Like I told you, I think I'm probably lean more the other way. The way I try to look at it is, if it's something that should go out to the voters to vote on, let them vote. I mean, I always draw a little caution when things aren't allowed for the voters to vote. Not saying that that's what's happening, but if it can be put on a referendum for
Yeah.
people to vote, then it'll go one
Yeah.
way or the other, and we'll see what happens. I do see pros and cons for both sides. I completely understand what the commissioner's saying. I watch very closely all the work that David put in to do what he had to do
Mhm.
countywide. It is a lot of work. but my brain always goes back to, just because I live on a certain street on this island doesn't mean that I'm only going to try to policy make and make decisions for one street or one neighborhood. You try to make it for the whole thing. So I think anyone that runs, whether it's single member districts or not, anyone that runs for that seat better have a mentality that they want to do the best for everyone in the county, not just their district. Where I get hung up on, and someone actually said it at one of the meetings, I think you were there as well in Bonita, a guy came up and he said, think about this. You could run for a county commission seat and lose your district and still be appointed to represent that district. And that stuck in my head, and I never thought about it that way. So that's kind of what's brought me a little bit more to being in favor of it versus not being in favor of it. But there's still a lot of discussions. I know the county's talked about it. I know that it's been talked about, and there'll probably be more meetings. We'll see where it goes. But I see
Right,
both
you could
sides
do
of
the
it.
majority of your campaigning in Cape Coral and get elected,
You could, sure.
because that's where,
Cape
isn't that
Coral,
where the
Fort
majority
Myers.
of the people
Sure,
are in Cape
that's
Coral?
The
And
majority of the voters. I mean,
you wouldn't have to put a sign up anywhere in Fort Myers Beach.
Yeah, but I think the only thing is that the way we're structured now, I have gone to each of our fellow commissioners and stuff like this, and depending on sunshine laws, I can or cannot discuss certain things. But again, I go back to looking at Lee County as a whole,
Mhm.
and I go back to the experience I had when I was running the state of Florida for CBRE, that what do we need to do collectively? And how do we move assets and people to get that in?
No, I think this council, this commission, I agree with you 100%. You guys just can't be there forever. Those 5 can't be there forever. And, but anyway, I mean, I don't mean to harp on that.
No.
You're
Um,
harping.
Sorry. Thank you. So Ray, can you tell us some kind of inside scoop about Kevin Rowane that we've never heard before? Something that really irritates you about him?
Well, I mean, I would say Kevin's Kevin.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's enough said right there, right?
No. Look, I mean, I've got Cecil Pendergrass, I got Kevin, I got Dan, I got.
So if you're on Survivor, who's going home first?
Well, I'm rebounding behind a big offensive line. I think we all, Kevin has got a great financial acumen,
Mhm.
and so he brings something to the table. I came from commercial real estate, and so I bring something to the table. Cecil's a guy that's everywhere with everybody.
Mhm.
So I think we all play a role together.
Yeah,
But
former police officer. Yep.
collectively, Cecil helped me out. I said, Cecil, how do you know all this stuff? He says, I was a police officer.
Yep.
I know everybody and I know everything about everybody.
Yep.
Okay, enough said.
Yeah.
But I think we all bring something different to the table, and we respect each other and get along well.
So Jay Radabaugh is watching the show, and he says, "Say hello to Ray. He's friends of yours from Cincinnati."
Jay was with I think GE Aircraft Engines.
Okay.
He was a big fan of the Blues and the Thunderbirds. We've known each other for years. I think he comes down every year and spends a little bit of time. And so he's been a very close friend.
Big music guy.
Yeah.
So Ray, what do you think about this cockamamie thing that FEMA's pulling on the town about the trailers, trying to push the trailers off by the 18th, which is tomorrow. All the trailers need to be gone by tomorrow, or FEMA says you can't have your discount.
Can you ask me that question the day after tomorrow?
I mean, seriously,
no,
is that fair?
First of all, let me two things. One is any government agency, as we talked about before, there's a process. Okay, and the process takes time, and the time is what frustrates everybody. Okay, so that's the frustration. But if you don't follow their process, you don't get reimbursed. And that is extremely important, just like all those piles of debris we had. If you don't get reimbursed, there's no way that the county or the municipalities can handle that cost. So you have to do it their way. That's frustrating, But the other thing is I try to also understand the other side. If I'm with FEMA and I wake up and I turn on the news every day, there's a hurricane somewhere, there's a fire somewhere, there's something going on elsewhere. How do you as an organization, FEMA, and FEMA is not just a process, it's people. How do they address all of those different issues across the country in an efficient way? We're obviously very close to the things that affect us. They're dealing with stuff all over the country.
Like
So I give them credit for
avoiding people that have Trump signs on their lawn.
I heard
I
something
mean,
about that.
but do you
Can't
understand how, I get all that stuff. I mean, but they do only have one job, and that is to deal with these disasters.
Well,
But
that is a big.
how is that common sense that they're asking these trailers like Tom? I mean, really Tom and a few others are being asked to leave when the hurricane season is over, and maybe you give them until June or something to prepare. I mean, it's really put the town in an awful position.
Well, I tried to, remind them stuff like that. That when we were in the midst of the destruction, down here, it was those trailers that kept us alive.
Yes.
Those are the people that committed to coming down and feeding people. And
Yep.
I can't how many lunches I had there. You're trying to say, look, have a little empathy for these people, as they rebuild. You can speak your mind, but I'm low man on the totem pole.
We were standing at the base of the bridge talking to the USAR teams when they were still here searching for bodies. And one of the people that were down here shortly thereafter, he may have been here at that time, was Laola. And he had went and bought a trailer and pulled it down to the beach and was feeding the USAR teams and the first responders for free for 2 reasons. One, because they were working for us and they were doing a hard job. And 2, he wanted to keep his employees busy. He didn't want to lose his employees. So, yeah, you're going to fight for a guy like that for something that doesn't make any sense. Where I get frustrated with FEMA, and I don't mean to hijack Ray's segment here, but what I get frustrated with FEMA on is when I agree with the process and you got to follow the process, but when you could provide an improvement to that process or a suggestion to that process and they slam the door on your face because it's not their process or their idea, that's where I have a hard time with that. And if you provide a reasonable solution and you can't explain other than that's not suitable enough is your explanation. To me, that's not an excuse, or that's an excuse that's not an explanation as to why it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And we've seen it repeatedly from back when we first got the letters from Matt Caldwell's office. You can't do that. Why? Because we said so. Well, then when we prove them legally, we can. They never said, okay, we were wrong. They just said, go ahead and continue to do it. And it's happened 2 or 3 times. And to me, this is just like another step of, we don't necessarily understand what you're talking about, but our process says this, and we're not going to change.
And I just want to point out
Yes.
too, that they, way back when people were coming out to measure for trailers, and then we're like, oh, no, wait. We can't give you a trailer.
Oh, yeah,
It's in the flood zone. It's in the, and
That
so
was a joke.
it's one thing when they make a mistake.
Yeah, one person's
they
measuring
can't-
for
they
the
can be
trailer, and the
flexible
next
for
person says, "No,
themselves."
we can't put a trailer there.
Right.
It's in the high velocity zone." I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read the letter that FEMA sent to the town, but it was basically what she said was, "We don't really care about your economic situation. The rule book says you have to be, out by the 18th, and pound sand is what they basically told the town to do." And, the other side of it is, and I know this isn't part of the process, but Tom is really one of few businesses left in Times Square. So you take all those trailers and containers out, and then you have nothing in Times Square. And you have maybe the Buffalo guy because he can get off.
I don't want this to be just about Tom and his business. This is one of the many businesses, not many, one of the businesses that
And the containers.
and the containers and all of that. But again, with the process, if you're a teacher, you understand, if one student is being bad, you punish that student. You don't punish the entire class because one student. And what they're doing is trying to punish an entire island, an entire county, 2 other municipalities or 3 other municipalities over a very small, minuscule part. Now, if someone's not following the directions, you tell them what the rules are, and they choose and blatantly choose not to follow it, then yes, by all means, they should be the ones that should lose their discount. If you don't want to follow the rules, and these are the rules, and we've gone through the process to make you understand the rules, and you still choose not, you lose your discount. Why does it have to be the entire community, the county, and all these other municipalities to potentially lose the discount that they worked very, very hard for years, some decades, to get to that discount level? Or losing the discount's one thing. Financially, that's not a huge impact. For us, it's roughly $300 to $350 if you average it out over the 5,000 or so policies. But it's the probation or the threat thereof that you could be on probation or removed from the program altogether. That could be significantly financially harmful to our residents, and it's just not fair, in my opinion.
Ray, when you leave county life tomorrow and David gets sworn in on Tuesday, I know you're going to the ceremony. What will you do?
At the ceremony?
No, not at the ceremony. Like, what are you going to do, bro?
What are you going to do with your time?
I'm thinking about getting into radio.
It's severe cut and
They
pay.
make it look easy and stuff like this.
That's a volunteer job. If you're going to do that.
Everybody asked me, what are you going to do next? I said, I don't know. I said, I think all of us at one point are going to stand in front of our maker. And he or she is going to go, so let's see, born in the United States, great country, great family, great. Had a chance to do some pretty interesting things, yada, yada, yada. So what did you do with all those gifts I gave you? And I think that's where that self-reflection piece. How did I take whatever gifts that were given to me, and what did I do to give back?
What do you do when you don't get any gifts? Like what? I mean, when somebody I missed the gift line.
You did not miss
Look
the
at
gift
you.
line.
You're all buff. You're in shape. I'm
Buff. I got
Yeah,
legs
you've
like
got
twigs.
health. You've got a great wife,
kidding.
great child. You,
All right, I got
you know.
one gift, right? Two gifts. So no, so seriously, you
I'm
just
the
gonna
gift
kind of.
that keeps
You
on
smell
giving.
that brake test?
You think you'll relax?
No, I think
You
he's
can't
going to give
relax,
back.
Ray.
I don't know.
He's already asked for a beach patrol job.
I went out with the beach patrol guys a couple times.
That'd be
You gotta
funny.
do this. We'll get you one of these little jackets and go. The
Nice.
dogs run up to you. Everybody loves you and stuff.
So-
Can you see Ray cruising down the
I
beach?
can.
I
can. He
Little
loves the
dog
beach.
treats for the dogs.
I think one thing that I would like to do is my first love was aviation. And so I'm going to try to stay on the advisory panel for team for the airport. I think that's so important to the economic base of our Southwest Florida. Skyplex around there, we're going to do a lot of cool things there. So if I can stay involved with that in some capacity, that's probably my number one thing.
Tim wants to know if you have any desire to fight Mike Tyson.
For 20 million.
20 million, I do most anything.
Yeah. So
I'm sending Dan in.
So tomorrow at the town council meeting, they're going to, Jim Adderhold calls it the most awkward time of the year. They appoint a new mayor. The five of them choose a new mayor. If you were on the town council, who would you want to be the mayor of Fort Myers Beach?
Well, I'm in striking distance from this.
It's no question, right? It's no question. No question about it. Yeah.
Dan from the day we stood at Times Square together, just he and I, what he has done, losing his house, his business, going on a Buttonwood and doing that distribution center. I mean, the friendship will endure, but I have great admiration for him, as I do the whole town council. And I think the council works well together. They'll decide who they want to go, but if I'm biased, I feel very strongly about that.
No doubt about it. We're all biased in this room. Yeah. So any final thoughts, Dan, for Mr. Sandelli?
I mean, I'll probably come up on Tuesday as well. I won't be able to be there Monday. We've got a council meeting as well, but we certainly appreciate all your hard work. Your admiration and your love for the island is second to none. So we'll miss you, but we're looking forward to working with David.
Yep.
And this isn't goodbye. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you.
We'll see you out there on the beach patrol.
Exactly. We might
I
even
think
get you a special buggy.
I've been tasked with some certain things, like I got called to be a judge for the sand sculpture thing.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
there you go.
Let me
Yeah.
see if I can squeeze that into my schedule. And stuff like this, So this
We
is-
need to make a beach buggy that looks like a Blue Angel.
Yeah.
Oh,
that'd be nice.
that's
Have you roll down
great
there.
idea.
You know
Yeah.
people, don't you? And ladies and
Should come
gentlemen.
down for the bike parade and a Blue
Oh,
Angel
yeah.
bike.
Yeah. Can we get a big hand for Ray Sandelli, outgoing commissioner, a great representative on the Board of Commissioners. Thank you, Ray.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Ray's going to stick around and answer your questions if you have any. And Dan, I'm going to read some ads and then we'll have you back on. We'll talk about some town business in about 5 minutes. But first, I want to tell you about some of our sponsors that make this show possible, including Annie Meehan. We are going to ask Dan about Bay Oaks and the Times Square clock and some other things going on. Annie Meehan lives on Fort Myers Beach. She is a motivational speaker. She's been on the show. She's an author of 9 books, one which is inspired by staying and surviving Hurricane Ian. It's a great gift for the holidays, everybody. If you've ever seen Annie Meehan, she's got like this ball of energy. Like you're thinking, can that really be real? Like, is she on some kind of super duper coffee or speeders or something like that? But no, it's really who she is. Annie Meehan is crazy on energy, and she's ready to be a keynote speaker and a mental wellness communication expert. My wife needs a little mental illness help. Oh, how was your massage today, by the way, Jamie? Where did you go for your massage? Your wife said you went to Vixen's for massage. I didn't even know that was open. Do they have massages there? I didn't know that. Sorry, Annie. I didn't mean to insert the naked massage in your ad. There's nothing to do with it. But you can go to anniemeehan.com and check out her books. 952-994-8356 is her phone number. That's 952-994-8356. Annie Meehan, MEEHAN.com. I also wanted to tell you about Eagle Eye Aluminum. They're not here today. Usually when Tom is here, he comes on and tells us about his company. He's also a sponsor of the Bike Parade. The Bike Parade is coming up on December 7th. December 21st. I got it. Close. Eagle Eye Aluminum, seamless gutters. I think they've worked on your nice castle that you're building over there. It was nice to see the scaffolding off the house. Holy smokes. That is a really nice house. And for $200,000, a lot of money well spent there on your part. Eagle Eye Aluminum. Tom also specializes in rescreen work. So if your pool cage got knocked down, you can give Tom a call at 239-340-1639. I don't know why he's not here today. Oh, they're out at some family event. Eagle Eye Aluminum at gmail.com. So thank you so much to Tom Coleman. And the mayor is back for a segment of news about what's going on. So the first big question is, what's going on with the clock?
Well, it was taken down because of the storms,
Right.
And it didn't make sense to put it back up until the storms were gone. And there was a few pieces that needed to be fixed. So they're getting those fixed. So hopefully it'll be back up soon.
So they needed some parts first.
Parts, yeah, I noticed that when they took it off, there were some rusted bolts and nuts and stuff. So fixing those kind of things.
Gotcha. The second question, we ran into some folks yesterday at the cleanup that we were doing at EIBC for the sand sculpting competition was what's the latest on Bay Oaks reopening? I know you guys got hit again with Milton.
Yeah, so the floor has been, our insurance company is actually doing a lot of work and lining up contractors to do that. So they're waiting on some bids to get the floor redone. Then there was some damage to the deck or whatever you drive over to walk over to get to it. So they've got to get that fixed. So they're waiting on those bids to get the floor in. I was just in there the other day. It's all stripped down to the concrete. So it's getting close. It's getting close.
Oh, all right.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm getting distracted by the fans over on this side that are showing up.
Fans is in yay fans or fans is in win fans?
Yeah, no, fans is in yay fans. When you cleaned up EIBC, right?
Well, they
Yeah,
cleaned
I
it
saw-
up.
I
They
saw you
they,
guys
they
on-
really cleaned it up.
And we want to thank
Right. Warren, what's his name of his business? Eagle Eye Aluminum?
Resolute
Roofing.
Resolute.
Yeah, he brought his trailer over, so everything we really were just trying to find the nails in the glass that were left over.
Mhm.
But EIBC did a great
But
job.
thanks to all of them that
Yes,
showed up
yeah.
and for him
Yeah, we
bringing
had
the
like 30
trailer.
volunteers
And
there.
yes.
So the next question for you is the trailer. Obviously, the trailer issue. What do you think is going to happen tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow's the deadline, and they gotta be gone, right? We were told that they're not gonna allow them to stay, so we can't physically go on there and yank their trailers off, but we have to go through the process and give them their code violation and let them go through the process, and that's what we're doing. So we've been told in that letter that that's an insufficient process. Well, then give us something that says we can tread on someone's property.
So
rights.
just to back up a little bit, the town did get a letter in July that said your deadline's November 18th.
Yes.
And the town, according to what you have said, the FEMA wanted the town to follow their process. And their process was you get a code violation, you go before the magistrate, you work. The magistrate makes a ruling whether you have to leave or you get a fine or whatever the magistrate rules. And that's what you guys were planning to do. But FEMA has said, we don't give a crap about your process.
I think that this, people like to use, oh, you got the letter in July and now here we are in November and you didn't do anything. That's BS. I can tell you our staff has met countless times with FDEM and Director Guthrie and FEMA and try to get to what exactly is it that you're looking for. The consistent message from FEMA has been follow your code was in place and that will be sufficient. Okay. But there's been a lot of questions asked. Well, what if someone is on a property? I'll just give you one example. What if someone is on a property, they've submitted their plans to rebuild. They're in the process of building back a new building, but they need this temporary structure to be here until they're ready to start putting pilings in the ground. There was not a yes or no answer. It was like, oh, we'll look into it. It's always a we'll look into it. We'll get back to you. Well, then you don't get answers, and that's when you have to involve the senator and the congressman and say, hey, we're trying to get answers to some of these questions, and then they will get a direct answer, not a direct answer, but they will get at least a answer back, and then okay, we can do that or we can't do that, and then we'll move on. The letter was essentially, what is going to be your process to bring these things into compliance that we have found you did not do or we didn't feel was sufficient enough for you to do? That's what we've been going through and staff has been going through, the mountains of paperwork that have gone back and forth. And at some point, they just stopped allowing me to be involved or any council member to be involved in the meetings. It was
they being FEMA or they being the town manager?
Whomever. No, not the town manager.
Okay.
It just, One day, Andy's like, they don't want any elected officials in the meetings.
What
Okay,
a bunch of crap.
Why?
Honestly.
Why? Because
Yeah.
they don't want me coming on here
So
saying
so
things I'm
last
sure, but-
weekend when Jim was on, by the way, when was it? You were on before Election Day, right? Is that the last time you were on before Election Day?
Yeah, I think so.
Congratulations on your win. He
thank
got
you.
more votes than anybody.
Has
Thank
it
you.
been that?
Now,
It has been that long.
don't let me get sidetracked about the FEMA thing, but you got more votes than anybody, and you are basically for. Well, let me come back to that. Let me finish the
Yeah.
FEMA thing.
Okay.
Let me
Yeah,
write
stay
this.
on
We're
track.
circling.
Let me
back.
write this down so I don't forget. I'll forget. Okay. So the FEMA thing. What were we talking about?
So the overarching umbrella of FEMA is the staff, Lee County.
Oh no.
But
I remember now. So last weekend, Jim Adderhole came on the show, and he said, "Hey, if Trump gets elected," which at the time I thought was a long shot, but I was totally wrong. If Trump gets elected, Senator Scott's going to have more of a say in FEMA, and Senator Scott almost became the Senate Majority Leader. And have you got any indication that FEMA is going to change their attitude?
No, what the concern I've always had is the arbitrary date. Why November 18th?
Yeah,
Even
why
in
November
July, it's like,
18th?
why November? And
Did you ever get an answer on that? Like,
Well,
did
no,
they just
it was
count certain?
and well, there was actually an earlier date, if you remember, and we're like, well, wait a minute, this, we need more
Oh,
time.
they changed the date.
And they allowed us a little bit more time because the things that they were asking for was substantial. So to get all the documentation that they
Right.
needed and get it over to them, then there was some communication issues between FEMA and some of the municipalities that the links they were sending couldn't be opened, and you can only open them by certain
Right.
people. So when I say countless meetings that they've had over the last 6 months, I'm not exaggerating. And it's been back and forth. Here's what we're doing. Yep, you can do that. Nope, you can't do that. It's been back and forth to try to whittle down to where, well, now it's come down to the point about the trailers. It's like economically for these businesses, it doesn't make
horrible.
sense
It's horrible.
for them to have to leave. And that was the pitch that we made. It wasn't that we're trying to circumvent the system or we're trying to supersede FEMA's system. We're just trying to buy reasonable.
What are you
common
making a
sense
face
time.
at, dear?
Nothing.
You're making a face at something
I'm not
like you're
making a face.
you're
I don't know, I
questioning
just-
Dan's
No, I'm not
answer.
questioning.
Why were you making a
No,
face?
at no time has the town ever tried to supersede FEMA or
Yeah.
end around or bypass.
So you
their-
haven't gotten any indication from Senator Scott or from any, I know you can't talk to Jim, anybody that they're going to cut you some slack.
I have not. No, the
Andy.
communications that
I don't think.
the communications that I've had with Senator Scott in his office and Congressman Donnell in his office is you tell us specifically what you want answered.
Yeah.
We'll get it in the hands of the people. And again, we are super thankful for all the help that we have received from FEMA when it comes to beach renourishment and some of the other things.
Yeah.
But they have a breakdown in their process and some of their processes. And it's not just me. It's not just us saying it.
Yeah.
If you ask some of the other municipalities, they may not be as outspoken about it, maybe as I sort of shouldn't be. But if you have a problem in your process and we try to show you that there's a problem and here's why, or it's some common sense, to just put blinders on and say, absolutely not, this is the way we do it. And
This is the rule, and that's it. Mm-hmm.
I think that's very narrow-minded, and I think it's reckless. And I think if you have to look at every situation, I mean, think about it. Think about this. What if they had used that mindset when they said you cannot use Matt Caldwell's letters for the 50%
Oh, that
rule?
was crazy.
Right.
Imagine if they had stuck to their guns and said that.
Yeah.
Where we would have been.
Yeah.
We would have been in much, much worse shape. But
Yeah.
because everybody rallied together, said, well, wait a minute. Florida does it this way. We're not Alabama.
Yeah.
We're not Atlanta. We're not anywhere else. It seems, this is my personal opinion, it seems like there's a disconnect between our regional office in Atlanta and what is in DC. Because when you go through the senator and the congressman, when you get answers back from DC, they're like, we didn't know anything about that.
But the thing that
how-
makes
how do you
no
not?
sense at all, I get that they want the trailers out. I get it.
Everybody
The
gets
trailers shouldn't be in those zones during hurricane season.
They shouldn't be in those zones at all, is
But
what FEMA's
hurricane
saying. And they're
seems-
100% correct.
But hurricane season is over. We just got slammed with 3, 4, or 5 storms in a row. And Tom, not just Tom, but the goods, all these, they're just trying to recoup some of their money that they've
Well,
lost.
we've
They
already
have some
established-
compassion.
You've already established that's
this
not
is where
going to
you
be.
gotta
But
this is where you gotta look at it from FEMA's point of view, and I 100% agree with their point of view. If they choose not to move that, what we saw in Milton are dumpsters and other things that cause
Okay.
damage to other
Mhm.
people's
Agreed.
property, and that's what FEMA is trying to
Right,
eliminate.
right.
And I completely understand that during hurricane
Right.
season.
right.
Outside of
Everybody should be
hurricane
gone
season-
The
before the
economic
next season.
thing is not going to matter to them. But
you know
what
what?
should matter is that it's not hurricane
Yes,
season.
yes.
That is what makes absolutely no sense.
this is, in my opinion, this is the real first hard line that FEMA has drawn.
Mhm.
They've always said, we'll look into it, we'll get back to you. And in this case, they got back to us
Said
and told
pound
us,
sand.
right, okay, that's a hard line, we get it. But again, why can't that hard line be after
Yeah.
the hurricane
Mhm.
season before and if you want to put stiffer penalties in place, and here's exactly what's coming your way if
Yeah.
you don't do it,
Tell us what it is.
tell us what it
Yeah.
is. I mean,
So
So Tuesday morning,
Yeah.
what's gonna
everybody's getting.
what's gonna happen?
well, I
And the
can tell
thing-
you what's not going to happen is the town's not going to have trucks backing up to people's trailers and people have property rights in the state of Florida.
Just as per Harris.
You're allowed to do certain things. We can't physically go in and tear your house down unless you go through the process, the
Yeah.
legal process. We can't come take your trailer or your place of business away unless you go through the process.
Mhm.
That process has been started. People have been violated.
Yeah,
They
but
have
FEMA
been
doesn't
third-
care about it, as we found out.
Well, they said it's not suitable. Well,
Yeah.
then tell us what is suitable.
Yeah.
Because
So-
this is what our process is. You tell us we can't change our process. You have to follow what was in place pre-storm. Okay,
That's
what
it
we're
was.
doing.
Yeah. Before I forget, because I forget things, Lisa and TJ are here from Root Shrimp. They are opening back up on Thursday.
Hey.
Thursday, right? Thursday over across from Tuna Skin, next to the Chris's parking lot over there. So if you're around town, please go over and visit those guys over there starting Thursday of this coming week. So
And
go ahead.
Not because I want to throw more salt on the wound, but it's got me wound up because,
People love it when you get wound up, bro.
wound up.
The
Well,
last
this
you
is wound
guys
up.
watched 2 weeks ago, we got really wound up, and we got wicked ratings for that.
Yeah, right.
I mean, what
Yeah,
is
right.
that? We don't get any
I know.
ratings,
Well,
except she gets a pound of cash from all the developers.
Oh, that's
No,
right.
Don't forget, you got to tell everybody
anyway,
about that.
So
I
if
was
you
like,
look at the response letter that we got from FEMA, it was very specific to talk about RVs and recreational vehicles. So of course, my question when I saw it was to town staff, well, does that include these guys? Does that
Right.
include Root Shrimp? It's a trailer that can be pulled off. It doesn't specifically say in the letter that you can have concession trailers that can be pulled off the island with a light duty truck. It just said this only applies to RVs and recreational vehicles. Again, another question. So does that mean that Root Shrimp can't be there? Does that mean Laola can't have their truck? Does that mean other people can't have something that can
yeah,
be
how can
hooked
we
to a-
turn everything into a recreation vehicle? Because somebody on there said they get a lot of recreation down at La Ola's.
So
it
I think we need to
technically
get more
be-
clarification on that.
it wasn't me. Someone said it on. I was like, that's a great point.
So that's one of those things. Well, it doesn't say that we can have concession trailers. It says RV and recreational vehicles only. Well, again, before it said you could have the trailers, the concession trailers, as long as you can move with a light duty truck. This new letter doesn't say that. So it says recreational RV vehicles. Okay, what is that? So now if we allow, since we brought up the Root Shrimp, and no offense to you, now if we allow Root Shrimp to be there, are we still in the FEMA crosshairs because it technically is not an RV vehicle? Do you see what I mean? This is why I get frustrated about it. It's like, just write out just tell us exactly what you want us to do and we'll be happy to do it.
I think they want everything off. I mean, I just think that's.
So does that include, I've got a 7x16 trailer that I use. Does that mean that can't be on the island? It's got to be off the island at all times. Where's the division? Where's the line? It's not a recreational vehicle. It's a trailer I pull behind my truck. Does that have to be off the island? There's no clarity. So, and this is, and what frustrates me is if you try to assume that you know what this is saying, then you get another letter saying, well, that's not what we meant. Okay, then what did you mean?
Had you talked to, because we do
It's
a lot of
frustrating.
comparisons with Mexico
Ray's
Beach.
over there going, God, I'm glad
I
this is my
know,
last
I
bit.
know.
One more day.
Come back up, Ray. Come back up. We'll start grilling you.
I would like to have Ray on Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of comparisons with Mexico Beach. Did they go through this? Was there anything similar?
Oh, I'm sure not just beach communities. I'm sure you look at, North Carolina, there are places that are having to go through FEMA. I'm sure.
No, but I mean, in terms of trailers in like this trailer situation with hurricanes.
I think, I think where we need to get, especially in Florida and the coastal communities, is governments need to be proactive and learn exactly what FEMA is and what isn't. And I'll give you an example. Madeira Beach, I've been following them because they're similar to us. And there's a gentleman I've been talking to up there and trying to give him, advice. They recently changed their code to say they're getting away with the continued running of the permits, kind of like what we had. and they changed it like we did to get rid of that because it didn't make sense. But you have to be careful not to apply that to the storm that you're already under. If it's a state of emergency, you can't backfill that rule. So any rule going forward, so Helene, Milton, we can now follow that because it's a new rule.
Who did the Lions play today?
He's getting bored. See, he starts a question, then he gets bored.
Yep.
Jacksonville. What happened to the Jacksonville quarterback, the guy with the pretty hair? What happened to him?
He got hurt.
Did he get hurt?
Yeah. I think he got
And
hurt.
you guys, how many interceptions last weekend?
Too many.
And you still won.
Yeah, it was a hell of a game, 12-7.
And you were at the game.
Yeah, I was.
I
there.
heard you caused a fight or something.
I didn't cause anything.
Can you imagine Fort Myers Beach mayor gets through a fight in
No.
Jacksonville football game? No.
Only if it was with a FEMA official.
So-
That would have been
No.
really good.
that would have been. People would have cheered that. No,
Yeah.
so
I'll pay $20 million for that.
I got to tell you,
With all the developer money I'm getting,
Yeah.
I'm going to pay $20 million for that.
I got to tell you a story. I got a call from a TV reporter. I'm not going to say who the reporter is because we have a great relationship last week. And the reporter says to me,
You did? You didn't
Yeah.
tell me this.
I like to save some things for the show, dear. So the reporter says to me, I heard there's some, my editor told me, or whatever they call the newspaper bosses, that they want this reporter to go down to the beach because they heard there was red tide. And so they called me and said, I hadn't seen anything on your page about red tide. Can you tell me what's going on with red tide? I said, well, if there was red tide, you would see it on my page. And I said to her, why? I didn't mean to say her, but I said to her, I said, why would you do that? Like, why would you go down to Fort Myers Beach and start a red tide story? When, I mean, why don't you just go down to the beach and stab every business owner right in the chest with a knife? I mean, there was no red tide. I mean, then I called you and I said, they're looking for red tide stories because that's, I mean, it was ludicrous last week. There's no red tide.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, there might be. I mean, I haven't
Does
looked at
have
the
anybody,
report.
has anybody seen any red tide? All
they
right,
do put
thank you
out the
very much.
reports.
It's not like I'm trying to hide it. I'm just like, why would you create that?
Yeah, it's kind of like
We know when red tide's coming.
Well-
You see all the dead fish on the beach.
Well, not long ago, there was a news report that we were going to be booting cars and towing them off the island. So
True.
Different station.
you're right, but I mean, you can't control the news.
So, what else is going on with the town? Tomorrow's town council meeting will
Yes.
not have Seagate on it.
Will
Just
not.
so everybody knows, I did invite Matt Price on the show next Saturday from Seagate. And one of the things that Kim wanted to bring up, my wife of 30 years in a few days, was that sometimes people get on our page and they allege that we take money from developers, like we're running for office or something. But I just want to make it clear that we've never taken a dime from Seagate. We've never taken a dime from London Bay. Yes, a Pink Shell advertises with us. If you want to call them a developer, they're trying to build a resort. And
Well-
we've never taken a dime from Moss Marina. So
But here's the
people
thing.
that do that are idiots.
But the thing is that when somebody advertises with us,
It's a different
I
story.
would
They're
hope
getting something in
everybody
return.
goes,
It's
Yeah,
not. It's not fun
they're
when you can't
probably
control the
paying
narrative,
for
isn't
that.
it, Ed?
It's
not
no,
fun
it's-
I just
when you
want
gotta
to
defend
correct
what
it.
somebody
I just
throws
want
out
to
there.
it's not
correct it.
it's not fun when it's
I
inaccurate.
mean, I would not be
exactly.
working full time. I can tell you if I was sitting back raking in all this cash, because working 7 days a week would not be my choice if I had all of that
Stop
money.
whining. My point is, I don't care if any of the resorts get built or don't get built. It doesn't affect us in any way. We drive to the beach at 6 o'clock in the morning. We don't get stuck in the traffic. We leave, in time for that. And besides that, we would not take pounds of money from developers. It's just stupid.
And you know what else too? Just for 1 minute.
Go ahead, dear.
If you're
Let
gonna
it rip.
if you're gonna be on if you're gonna be on Facebook and you're gonna comment and you're gonna use a fake profile with nothing on it that nobody else can see, you are gonna get blocked.
Yes.
And
Look
you're
at
not
you.
gonna cry about it.
Calm down.
So
you say I get fired
if
up.
you don't have the nerve
Yeah,
to
just put
either
your name on
say
there.
it, it's bad enough you're saying crap on your keyboard. Because if you want to say it, if you want to talk to me, I am right here.
Yeah.
I will show you my
And she ran
income.
3 miles today, bitches. Didn't you say you
So-
knocked a minute off your last mile?
I did
Well,
thinking
'cause you-
about this. I was like,
wow, all fired up. So
I added one to mine.
I don't know.
I gave it to you. I appreciate it. Here's an
no.
extra minute.
The whole thing about taking money is just goofy. It's just goofy.
It's
I-
just
I-
so
I-
old school. It's like, what are we?
It was
The
because-
Whitey Bulger here. I mean, what is going on?
The thing was we posted this editorial from two educated, very smart people that are in favor of the Seagate. And the minute that anybody is in favor of something, people lose their shit. They absolutely lose their mind. They can't take it. You're not following the comp plan. The comp plan says 3 over flood. It doesn't say that. The comp plan doesn't say 3 over flood. Does it, Dan?
It says in certain districts you can ask for
Yes,
additional
right.
height.
In a CPD or this new development.
Based
It
on
does
public
say
benefit.
that, but yes, it has that caveat.
Everybody knows
in there.
4C4 now. I think everybody's got that number memorized.
What?
In the land development code, 4C4.
Yeah.
4C4.
So
And when they compare it to Sanibel doesn't have that.
it's
so-
two different animals. It's not the same
It's
thing.
right.
Well, we're not
Move to
Sanibel.
Sanibel
We're
then.
not Sanibel.
Yeah.
We're
Move
not
to
Take my
Sanibel.
developer
We're not-
money and go.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dan, so you guys took Seagate off the agenda tomorrow. Why?
So there was someone that there was a few people, I guess, that raised concerns about the advertising. So I called our attorney and said, listen, this is what I'm hearing. I saw an email based on the advertising of the first reading of Seagate. And she rattled off instantly this 166, whatever the state statute is. It said it checks every single box for a home rule development agreement. We are perfectly within our rights. It was advertised for the first reading properly. And we talked about it. And I said, well, maybe you should call their attorney and let them know that there's been a concern raised about this. And, it's their development. How do they feel about going forward? And they did. And both agreed that in the best interest of everyone involved, that you bring it back and you just go through the process again. You just make sure that you take away any possible, you're trying to be as transparent as possible.
Yeah.
Nobody's trying to sneak anything through. Nobody's trying to do
Give
anything.
everybody a chance to
Yeah, that
come
way,
in.
more
speak their
people will
if
be down
that's,
here.
And I actually did the day this is all going on. I met with Matt out at the property again, and we stood on the sidewalk, which was kind of funny. Someone went by on a bike and said something about, "Oh, you're meeting with Seagate."
I know. I heard people say they saw Matt and Dan were over there
Yeah.
together. I'm like, okay, so what? I mean,
Yeah.
what does that mean? What were they doing?
I mean, we weren't trying to hide it. I was wearing a Vote for Dan shirt, standing on the sidewalk.
yeah.
It's not like I was trying to hide.
Jeez. No, and then Matt called me and said, listen, you're going to hear from the town. This is what we did. We know that we did it legally, but just to be, folks, you could find worse people. Now, you don't have to
Don't
agree
even
with
say it
17
now.
stories. That's fine. Nobody needs to agree with
It's not about
17,
that,
12. You could find a lot worse people than Matt Price and Seagate to be dealing with in this community. And they're out there. And I'm not saying they're working on the beach now, but he's really trying. Now, you might not think he's trying because it's 17 stories, and that's a whole different argument. You can argue with that at your 3 minutes of public comment. But he called and he said, listen, we're not trying to sneak things in. We said, let's just do 2 more public hearings. So they're going to do them on December 2nd and December 16th. And everybody will have ample enough time to be in favor or opposed. Now, the first public hearing that you guys had, it was basically 50-50. I mean, I do think you need to kind of take the London Bay guy out. But it still was kind of 50% in favor and 50% opposed. So, I mean, I know
Well,
you voted no.
what
I
happened.
think what you've seen since Ian on the island is, people are obviously very busy trying to rebuild their lives. So not everyone reads every post or looks at every town Facebook page or not everybody has time to do that. So they may not know something's coming before an LPA. Not many people go and download the agenda to see what's on every LPA or every council agenda. So, but once people start talking about it, then you start to see people for and against coming out of the woodwork, right? And I think that's what you're seeing with the Seagate property is people are starting to now be engaged
Relax.
because they're understanding and they've had plenty of time now to hear some of the testimony from the LPA and from the first reading at the council. So that's usually what's tendency to happen on the island on
Right.
any project usually, but that's the reason they have 2 readings, right? So that when you go to the first one, people that didn't know what was going on
Right.
are like, wait a minute, now they see all their friends who are posting one way or another about how things are going.
Right.
Then by the second reading, you get someone else,
Plus,
get more
you
people in.
also have to factor in that the town was trying to catch up on meetings. And I'm not a defender of government, but in this case, the town was trying to catch up on meetings after Milton, and they held
And
a couple in a row trying to get business done. And I think that Seagate got caught up in that. And the right thing to do is do what you guys are doing, is to do 2 public hearings in December. Now, tomorrow, the big story will be Estero Island Beach Club,
Mhm.
which really, I feel like the town has done them a disservice. I mean, you don't have to agree with that. You don't even have to talk about it if you don't want to. But those people were given I feel like they were given some direction from the town, and they tried to massage it. And if you don't think that's right, then you can clear it up. But they feel like they were given certain direction. I was talking to the guy yesterday.
Again, I've said it on your show, and I'll say it again. What has happened from the very first meeting to where it ended up at the last one tomorrow is not to relitigate everything all over again. It is to allow them the ability to come back within 12 months. There's a technicality in our code somewhere that says if you don't rule prejudice versus non-prejudice, that you can't come back within a year for the same plan. So they are just simply asking for us to allow them to come back. And I can't remember if it's with prejudice or without. I'm not sure. It's one way or the other, to allow them to come back within 12 months or less than 12 months time with either this proposal or a refined proposal. I'm guessing it would be a refined one because of the way it went, and allow it to be heard again and not have to wait an entire year. I mean, I don't know that there's going to be a lot of opposition to that.
Okay,
quite
good,
honestly,
good.
I mean, nobody wants to keep them out of their.
Right.
I mean, the
Right.
sooner they can get.
They
in,
just
the
need to
better.
come up with the right proposal.
Right, and I think that's where we're at. So tomorrow's not. If people don't know, that's not a relitigation of the
Right.
project all over again.
It's not going to be a
just not the
10-story
time
building.
thing.
That's
Yeah.
going to be.
It's allowing them to come back with another plan within less than 12 months.
And I think what we've seen there is we've probably seen, like, you got developers who understand the process, and then you got this timeshare building owner probably didn't understand and was maybe looking for some direction, more direction from the town that the town staff usually gives somebody doing that. And there was somehow it didn't work out right. Like, I mean, can you really ask the town to give you direction? Probably not.
Well,
It's not the
yeah.
town staff's job to give a developer or somebody direction, when the town staff's job is just to basically read the code and apply the code to the
yeah,
application.
exactly. It's not town staff it's not their job to design a project. It's not the LP or the council's job to design
Yeah.
a project or a home. It's here's what the codes say.
Or a
Here's-
condo building.
Yeah, here's you can certainly ask for reprieve, or you can ask for forgiveness, or you can ask for more.
Mhm.
But I'm telling you, this is what the code says, and it's up to you if you want to move forward.
So, Dan, the freaking beach renourishment by Times Square is unbelievable. Like,
pretty
when
impressive, isn't
that
it?
beach renourishment is done, you guys are going to have the most awesome beach. Like, when
We already do.
I hopped over the pier illegally. Sorry, Ray. I know it's your pier. That'll be done in 6 years. So I just to take a great picture, and the sand is like, it's really exactly where Chad said it was going to be, like 100 feet, 150 feet
It's all
out from that
fairways,
broken
yeah.
building. It's crazy.
It's pretty impressive
yeah.
to see. If we
Yeah.
could just get Mother Nature to cooperate
Yes.
and allow us
And
to
leave it
continue
alone
moving.
out there,
Yeah,
right.
we're,
Yeah.
Right.
we're,
Leave it
we're-
where it is.
soon they'll be. I want to say I read or heard Chad say that they're going to get down, I think, right around the Lonnie Kai or just past the Lonnie Kai area, and then they're going to have to go to the south end to try to get that renourished before turtle and bird nesting season happens.
Mhm.
So they're going to
Whoop.
jump. So in case people are
I
wondering,
heard you. I heard
Speaking
you
of
talking
birds?
about the birds.
in case people wonder why all of a sudden you start seeing things being shifted, you'll see they're prepping pipe and stuff at Newton Park to be able to start doing the same thing down there. They're fully, they don't think there's any doubt that they'll be able to be done down there before March. So, and then they'll come back and finish the rest of it when they're outside the nesting area. So they've got a plan. They know what they're doing.
Oh,
These
man,
guys
it looks great.
These guys are.
And
They're working
not
hard.
only is it, but if you guys get a chance to look at it, not only is it out further, it's higher. I mean, it is
It's a
higher.
gradual slope, and it comes up. It's. You remember what the berm looked like when they first put it out there. You're
Mhm.
like, wow. Well, that's essentially almost how high it is, if not the exact height, and it just slowly, gradually
Slopes
slopes
down.
down.
So one
Another
of the
150 feet.
Yeah,
out.
one of the things that I harassed Adderholt on last week was Andy Hyatt. Like, you guys, I mean, stepped in a pot of gold with that guy. Do you think he's going to get a raise? I think you should give him a raise.
I don't know. I mean, well, I think we've been fortunate enough since the storm to have everybody that stepped in and helped us.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
really, we are. We were fortunate with Chris and Keith,
Yeah.
and then to get right into Andy. I mean, to help with the transition.
Do you think he deserves a raise?
I think he deserves whatever he gets. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
I don't know
think
what does that
Andy's-
mean. Do you guys think he deserves a raise for what he's done? Yes or
I mean,
that wasn't very
well, it's
that was pretty
it's hard.
freaking lame.
It's hard. Andy
He gets 100. I think he gets 180,000 right now.
I
or
don't
something.
remember
He
what
gets
the
less than the
exact
last
salary
clown. Let's put it that way. Way
It's-
less than the
it's-
last clown.
I don't know how it all works out. There's
Yeah.
other things in there, obviously, that
Yeah.
are built in, but I don't.
And Tracy
remember the
Kohler, the former principal of the beach school, starts her job. She started
I think she's already
yeah.
started. Yep.
And
she
so,
was
what
at
is
the
her
meeting.
role going to be?
She's the assistant to the town manager. So I can't speak with the town manager exactly what that role. He's in charge of all the,
Mhm.
all the employees. we're, we have control over Andy and over the attorneys. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, and so everybody knows there was an assistant to the town manager before the storm.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you.
It's not like he created a new position. It's not like it wasn't budgeted. It was there when Andy took office.
Right.
It was actually a position that was created by Chris when Chris came on board, because he knew, Chris has been around this a long time. He's helped a lot of municipalities through things just like this. And he knew he didn't have time to be able to handle all the stuff that comes with answering emails, setting schedules, making sure things stay on task, because there's so much to do, that he created the position, and it worked well for him. Well, Andy is just filling that position. The person that was in the position is no longer with the town. She decided to move on. So he's just filling a position that was already there.
So my friend Stephen Clark, who Kim wants to actually really do the show with, not me, he sent me a picture of
He's a better singer.
He sent me a picture of that light that's hanging down. Did you see the picture? I sent it to you. The picture of the light
There's been a few of them.
on Estero Boulevard that's basically going to kill somebody if it falls.
FPL's been notified. Yeah, they usually try to get out pretty quickly. I think there was another one that came out. They just come. I don't know what it is because of all the storms.
They just come tumbling down.
There's probably been 4 or 5 of those that have been just like that.
Yeah.
So if you do see them, let us know right away. We let FPL know. They get on it usually pretty quick.
I don't remember if I told this story.
There's a number on the pole too. If you can provide that number, if you see something, then they know specifically where to go. Right now, it's kind of, it's across the street from Coconut.
Right.
It's not that it's hard to see when you're driving down the road, but it just speeds up the process of getting them there to get it down or get it resecured.
I rode my bike from Gateway to
Here we go.
Bonita Beach.
With
and
the wind.
I go to Bonita Beach Boulevard, and then I like to go. I wanted to thank you very much, 35 miles today, but I put the nut butter on, so I'm totally fine down there, if anyone was wondering about that. So I'm coming down Bonita Beach from Doc Ford's, and I see, dude, they're worse than Bonita. Like, if you guys are complaining about the sand on Estero Boulevard, and there was a small patch of sand on Estero, one patch is leave the beach that way. And there's no bike lane because the sand there piles of sand and debris in Bonita is obscene. The minute you come over the bridge, the big bridge, Fort Myers Beach is totally clean.
Well, we're much more fortunate when it comes to the width of the road and the right of way, thanks to the county and their work on the Estero Boulevard. You're allowed to shift lanes and do things where, you've been down that Bonita Beach Road. It's very narrow there, but it's 1,000 times better than it was like a week or two after Milton. I drove through there, and there was some, you want to talk about sand. There was some mountains of sand there, and trying to work those big front. We all know what it looked like on Estero when you were trying to work the front end loaders, and it was inconvenient. You had to wait, and then one car went. Now take that right away and shrink it in half.
Yeah.
Try to do the same thing.
The smartest thing you do a lot of smart things, Dan, despite what Megan tells me on the side. But the smartest thing you guys did was close down that road for a small amount of time to clean that sand up, not having the cars in the way, because that made a huge difference. Because the Estero Boulevard was mobbed with sand.
It was. I mean, it's definitely not a decision everybody wants to make, and it doesn't go over well with everyone.
No.
But everybody understood that there was
Right.
time. But again, it comes down to communication. You let people know what your plan is. Here's what we're going to do based on what we saw. Please don't come. Give us a couple hours to get this cleaned up, and it worked well. We were able to.
Could you do it at night if you had lights?
We could. I mean, we didn't. The problem was when you got a storm like that coming, you got to get your assets off the island, because if you don't, they're useless to you, and they're just and they're just becoming. They're just a boat anchor, right?
Yeah.
So. It takes time to get all that stuff back on the island. We were fortunate enough that in this last storm, as we talked about before, everybody heeded the warning. They got off the island, and within an hour, the fire department's like, "It's your island. Go to town."
Yeah.
Right.
So we were fortunate enough that everybody left and allowed us to do our job, and it got people on that much faster.
My friend Carmine, the sheriff, you probably heard of him. 91% of the vote, by the way. It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how that crockpot got 9% of the vote. I mean, but he said that, being that everyone listened and got off the island was the reason that nobody lost their life this time. So.
Yeah, I agree. It's you can come back and, it's not fun to muck out your house again. It's
Right.
not fun to throw your brand new appliances away or your brand new furniture away, but it's better than being carried and lowered into the ground.
Do you think the Fort Myers Beach mayor should now be an elected position with how things have changed since before the storm?
I have no idea.
Yes, you do. Answer the question.
Honestly, I don't.
Answer
I
the
don't.
question.
If that's what people want to do, you could get it.
What do you
we
want?
could put
Would
on
you
for
like it to be an
referendum.
elected position?
Honestly,
Why don't you ever answer my questions? Why? Why is it that
because
you
you
can't
never
answer?
stop talking.
There you go.
That's why.
You're good.
'Cause
You're good to go.
There's
You're
usually
good to go,
14 more
Dan.
questions behind that one, and you
You're
get
good to
confused
go,
like which
Dan.
one do you want the answer to first? Hey, if that's the will of the community and they want to put it on a referendum, go for it.
Do you guys think it should be an elected position? Yes or no? Yes, for applause. Elected position for mayor. That's the way they do it in Fort Myers. Kevin Anderson is an elected. Nobody gives a shit. Why? I don't even know why I asked that
I don't
question.
know. Move on. Let
Do you
Dan go.
want-
Well,
Let
I
people
think-
go watch their games.
You know why I think people? I think people, as long as they feel that the five members are working in the best interest of the
They
island,
are.
does it really matter?
It does.
as
I
long-
think it should
'cause
be an elected
it's Not
position.
one person. Not one person.
Well, okay,
Can
let
get
me
a
ask.
vote
What does it
approved.
matter to you? Why
Listen,
do you
hey,
think it's so
buzz
important?
out, buzz out, bug out. Listen.
Whoa,
Why
wrong
do you
way.
think it's so
Kill
important to you?
No, I think that here's why I bring that up. I think it's a full-time job for you.
Well, it's definitely takes a lot of time. Yeah.
Is it a
And
full-time
so
job?
if he was elected, what?
It should be a full-time paid position
Well,
now
that's
because of
different.
all the things that are going on.
Well,
This
that-
is a 10-year project.
That would require a charter amendment.
Yes, it
which
would.
We'd have to put on a referendum and all that kind of stuff.
Okay,
All
so
right,
tomorrow,
well-
We have a strong manager, weak mayor
Yeah.
system.
the way it was set up,
the
yep.
way it was set up. in
same
the
as
charter, so-
Sanibel.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, last question, we'll let you go. Tomorrow, there's going to be a vote. Do you want to be the mayor?
I would like to stay. Yeah, I believe continuity with what we've done over the last few years is important. You know, when you go and you sit down with some of these people who are trying to help, it's better, in my opinion, to be able to recall conversations that you've had. You know, it's taken a lot of work by all five of us to get to where we're at, and just to, being a mayor or being a vice mayor, as Jim, says all the time, it carries something when you go into a room,
Mhm.
and it doesn't get you any more votes, it doesn't get you any more power, but it does get people to answer the phone, right? And if you need help, and to have the relationships that have already been put in place that we've all five worked very hard on, I think it's important to keep that going. So yeah, I would love to do it, and
Well-
if they feel that I'm the best person for the job, I will.
Well, I'm going to vote for you tomorrow.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Thank
Ed.
you.
Thanks.
So,
All right.
No, I lied. It's not going to be the last question because I saw Sam walking over the bridge this morning. He brings up a good question. The traffic
This
coming,
is the last
the
question.
traffic coming off the bridge when you make the turn at the crescent light. Somebody took the stop sign down. Although I don't know if you saw the story on the TV station. It was so goofy about who took the sign down. But the
Doesn't
idea
matter.
was to keep the traffic flowing off the island. Do you think it makes sense to have a traffic? I don't like to call them traffic cops, but whatever they're called, directing traffic so that it never stops there. And then the other thing is they're kind of stopping at the bridge too. Instead, there's nobody can come from the other way just to keep people
Well,
moving.
I think there's several issues that are going on there. One, people are so accustomed to
Mhm.
stopping
Yes.
at that
Yeah.
stop sign,
Mhm.
right? And because it's not there, staff is working on putting up a sign that says "Do not stop," and on the other side it'll say, and it'll tell you to get to Times Square to continue on.
Mhm.
And then the other way it'll say cross traffic does not
Oh,
stop. So
cool.
I think that will certainly help having now whether or not people read the signs, because what we've noticed over the last week and a half is people think they're going to Times Square and then they turn left on Fifth, and then they
Right.
realize, oh my God, I got to go over the
And
bridge,
then
and
they
then they try to
U-turn
make
there.
a U-turn
Yeah.
around the cones, and they've got traffic backed up forever because
Right.
people coming onto the island are like,
Wait a minute.
heck with you, I've been
Right.
waiting in traffic to get on
Yeah.
the island. I'm
Right.
not letting you make a U-turn, and then now you've got all that backed up. So whether you've got someone standing there or not, will it help? Probably, but that's not going to help if you got people making U-turns.
No,
At the end of maybe if you put
that's the worst thing, the U-turn thing.
Oh yeah, the car in front of us last
Yeah.
the
weekend. We were
important
leaving.
message is,
But I
is
get
to not
people go,
stop.
"Ah,
Don't- yeah,
I don't want to
don't
go
stop.
Don't
off."
stop. Don't
Yeah.
don't
See,
stop
here's
at
the
Crescent
thing
and-
though. If you're coming from this way and you're going up, you're not sure what's going to happen. Like for those of us that live here or
Yeah.
in the area or here all the time, we don't live on the beach, but you know you don't know if that person across is going to stop because
Right.
you don't know if they know, and that's the indecision of that with the stop sign not there,
I,
no
I think having a
explanation.
sign saying cross, incoming traffic doesn't
Yeah,
stop.
I think
Yeah.
the signage
help.
will help. Yeah,
But the important message is if you're coming up Estero and you're turning onto Crescent, don't stop.
yeah,
Right.
The light will stop and allow traffic to turn there.
right.
So when light's red, stop. If it's not, continue
Go.
to make your right hand turn and continue to make your left hand turn. Now you can certainly, be good stewards. And if you see a car sitting at the stop sign wanting to come straight on Crescent, wait a second, let them pass.
Yeah.
But don't, you know what I mean? I
Don't
don't think
hold
there's
everybody
not
up.
as much traffic coming towards Estero on Crescent as there is going off. As long as we were on it yesterday, the day before, And I looked at Megan. We were stopped almost back to Publix, and I'm like, "Wow, it's going to be about an hour. We're going to be, we're going to be late."
That's crazy.
And it was 5:02 when I looked at the clock, and I said, "It's going to be 6 o'clock or 6:15 before we get to the north end." We turned right onto Crescent at 5:28.
But the thing
from
is,
Publix.
But the thing is,
because
there's
the cars they never stopped. They were
Yeah.
just slowly moving. And then there's been times where we've been stopped at Publix and it's taken an hour and 15, 20 minutes.
how much longer is that construction going to be going on at the base of the bridge before that
I don't know.
opens again?
We meet with them. We're on a call with them, or someone on the staff is on call with them every week, and we keep pushing. We need to get a through lane. We need to get a through lane to continue straight, because it's not going to work the way it's working. Someone's going to get hurt. They understand. They see the dilemma. They're trying. I mean, you got a lot of infrastructure work that they got to get done there before they can even do that. We're still working on it.
The other thing too is
if you want, send emails to FDOT.
The other thing is they put those red.
FDOT's in control, so send them.
I'm riding my bike to get to Times Square, and they put those red things up that are supposed to be the sidewalk, but there's no sign that says sidewalk. It just they put the red things up, thinking people will know that.
To their it's not to their defense, but they just like everybody else, they've taken down and putting those things back up 4 times in the last 2 months. So maybe the sign blew away.
Is FDOT under FEMA? Is that how the whole
no? FDOT
structure
is the
works?
Florida Department of Transportation.
What's your question, Jamie? Come on, you can't. You can't ask short questions.
Here, I'm going to take a break.
Yeah, because you've been so,
I know. Well,
Margaritaville
No,
Valet.
you need the mic.
You're going in?
Margaritaville Valet creates a big problem because they stop waiting to get in, and it completely blocks Crescent.
Mhm.
So I don't know what their plans are to make that one way in the future to where they can use that left lane to get in and they can still pass. But I've noticed 3 times I've come through, and that's been the problem.
Yeah, I think that those discussions have to be had, especially with what's going on at the roundabout. Can we close? I mean, technically we could, because we control that. It's not the county's road.
Mhm.
Does it make sense during season to close that off? Now it's not going to be fun for now. You're going to backlog this with people trying to go south on Estero because they're not going to have that extra turn. Or maybe does it make sense from this hour to this hour to make it a one way? I don't know. I think it's something we should definitely look at, because I agree with you.
Yep.
It'll help both on the island and off the island, but I don't think we could completely close it. And the fire department would probably have some say, and they've got to be able to get through there. And now if you have 2 lanes of traffic, one stop waiting to come in and then the other one trying to get off the island, they have no way to get through there for first responder. I'm guessing they probably are not going to be happy with that, but doesn't mean we can't talk about it.
Did you have it?
I think the easiest solution is to help them any way that we can, whether it's providing spaces for the trucks, for FDOT, whatever they need to do to speed up their process to be able to get some sort of lane open to be able to go off the island like we're used to.
But you feel that making Crescent one way between Estero and what is that, 5th Street
Yes.
isn't an answer.
It was something we would have to talk to the fire department on, because if they've got to get down Crescent, they would then, if it's a life issue and they've got to, if they're not coming over the bridge, if they're coming from Linnell, then they've got to go out and down through here and then come all the way back around.
Yeah.
So it's something we can talk to
Jamie,
about. Also
you look
bring
very
up-
limber. Was your massage a man or a woman?
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
seriously, come on. I've
Good answer.
I've never had a massage in my life. Was your massage a man or a woman?
It was a woman.
Okay, I just want to, because it would be weird if it was a guy. Have you ever had a massage by a guy?
I've never had a massage.
Okay, it's just a
I
weird.
have had a pedicure.
You have had a pedicure.
I have had a pedicure.
This is
yeah.
going way off the rails right now.
No, I
Ken.
have. When I
Why
left-
would you do that? Why would you get a pedicure?
Well, because
Does that have to do with your feet?
It does, yeah. So the very first time, I probably maybe had 2 or 3 in my life. The very first one
Really?
I had,
You
was
went
in-
back for more
I can tell you exactly. In 2012, well, it all revolves around
drinking.
the loves of my life,
I see.
my daughter and my wife.
I see.
So when I left in 2012 to move down here, one of the last things my then 10-year-old daughter asked was, "Will you do a pedicure with me?" How do you say no?
I'm not doing a pedicure with my daughter. Sorry.
If your
I mean,
10-year-old
I'll buy her
daughter,
a car
if your
first
10-year-old
before I do
daughter
that.
said you would do it.
I'm not. I don't want anyone touching my toes,
You're trying
Dan.
to be tough guy over here. He would do it. So anyway, that actually popped up on my Facebook the other day.
Your toes?
No, the feed,
Oh.
the memory of,
Yeah.
because we took a picture of us holding.
Please
hands
send me
and-
that picture of your toes when they were done. Did you get them painted?
I'll send you a picture of one of my toes up here.
Did we miss anything today that you
No.
want to make sure the town knows about tomorrow? for tomorrow, this week, this
no,
year?
Well, I think the big thing is obviously the Seagate proposal won't be on there. It'll be continued to the 16th. So I think that's how we're going to do it.
I heard a rumor they're coming back with 25 stories after
Maybe.
this, not
Yeah,
just
maybe.
17. I mean, I'm kidding. I'm just joking around.
No, it's good. I'm happy that Sarah has decided to break up and go different directions, and it looks like we're going to have some good weather. Maybe a little bit.
Oh
of
my
rain
God, you scared me for a second. When you said Sarah, I thought you meant Sarah that works for the staff. I was like, no wait, where's Sarah going?
What was considered Hurricane
Gosh.
Sarah? No,
You
sorry.
guys thought the same thing, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I guess I should have. Sorry, Sarah. No. Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right,
No,
Dan. Thanks a
that was
lot.
good. All right,
Good luck
thanks.
to your team today against Tennessee. Not really a football team, but I stopped watching football. Actually, I want my team to lose every single game for the rest of the year. It's the only way that will be good anytime moving forward. Gary, I guess she's done with me. I'm going to tell you about Michael Stewart because, folks, before you bust out of here, if you're thinking about building a nice house like the Hotkas have, they've taken their scaffolding away, and it was like looking at a masterpiece, looking at that house. Oh, a little kissy there after the massage. Uh-huh. I got a massage from a woman, honey, so I'm going to make it up to you right now by giving you a little kissy there. Very nice. Where is he? Is he going back for a second massage now? Is that where he's going? Bye-bye. Oh, wait, don't leave yet. I need to tell you about Michael Stewart, a structural engineer that is going to design your house that doesn't fall down. Because if you build a new house, the last thing you want is for it to fall down. And Michael Stewart is a structural engineer. He designs mechanical engineering, electrical, and plumbing. And you can check out all of his great work at Michael M. Stewart, mstewartpe.com. That's mstewartpe.com. Or you can give him a call right now, 239-292-7670. 239-292-7670. And our final sponsor of the day is Alex King. Alex King is the man, of course. He wants you to have your dream home, and or you can elevate your home, and you can give Alex a call, and he'll give you all the different options because he creates dreams. Other than the show, creating dreams or nightmares, depending on how you look at it, Alex will create a dream for you. They'll educate you. They've done their research and their homework. You know, they're all about the community. Give Alex King a call at 239-219-0336, 239-219-0336. Thank you all for coming to Wahoo Willie's today. And we will be broadcasting the town council meeting live tomorrow. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.